Hello everyone, and welcome to the July edition of r/NoSleep Radio. We're about to hop right into these stories, but first I'd like to warn you that I think I have a couple of pretty creepy ones. I think that's subjective, but I find them quite creepy. So, get a hot cozy drink, find a nice lit up place to sit, and hope that the jitters don't get you too quickly. Our first story is The Disappearance of Otis Jeary, written by The Dead Canary. I need to confess to you. I'm not a priest. I'm just a. The old man's grip tightened. He stared at me with those hollow eyes, blue eyes. I need to confess, he repeated. I've done something horrible. What was I supposed to do? Walk away? Tell him I wouldn't listen? That would be unkind, wouldn't it? I sat down next to him. Okay. Tell me, Sam, what's my name? He asked. I looked at him blankly. The other guys call you Abe? He leaned in close. The strong smell of cigarette smoke wafted over me, and I tried not to gag. My name isn't Abe, he rasped. Okay, he's senile, I thought. I broke eye contact and scanned the room. None of the nurses seemed to be present. The red exit sign glowed far off to the right, tempting me to leave. No, I have to stay. My eyes snapped back to his. I spoke slowly and quietly. What's your name, then? Otis. That's a nice name. I killed Abe Baker and stole his life. My heart began to pound. He's just senile, I told myself. Everyone gets a little crazy when they're older. Everyone. The old man suddenly whipped around and looked over his shoulder, almost as if he expected to see someone standing behind him. Then he turned back to me. You don't believe me, I see it in your face. No, that's not true. Of course I believe you. I didn't want to argue with him. At this age, that could mean a heart attack. You don't. No one does. But I tell you, it's true. This man, Abe Baker, was only a child when I stole his life, a 17-year-old with a penchant for beer, video games, and half-naked women. A few of the elderly women sitting on the sofa glared at us. I feel terrible about it, I do. I stole a young man's entire life, but the thing is, I don't really get a choice in the matter. Whose life I take, I'm usually transferred to someone within a mile or two, but other than that, it's random. He grabbed his hands and cracked his knuckles, frantically, nervously. I looked at him, eyebrows raised. You murdered someone, but you had no choice in the matter? Not murder, no. He shook his head, then, in a hushed whisper, he said, I just took over his body. I didn't know what to do. When I signed up to distribute the Eucharist to the elderly in a nursing home, I never expected this kind of situation. They didn't train us for this, at all. You know, the church doesn't really believe in possession. I mean, we believe in demonic possession, but you're not a demon, so I'm not Catholic, he said flatly. I closed my mouth and took a sip of coffee. It was cold. Even so, I really think you should confess all this to Father Henry. He can help you better than I can. He ignored me and continued. Nearly 10 years ago, my soul jumped into Abe Baker, and my previous body, belonging to a man named Arjun, blinked out of existence, just like that. He snapped his fingers. Go ahead. Take out your phone and Google Arjun Khatri. Slowly, I took out my phone and Googled the name. Several news articles popped up. Missing, Arjun Khatri, 26. Arjun Khatri, a young electrical engineer, disappeared Friday. Okay, he probably just remembered the name of some guy who disappeared. But I couldn't shake the sudden wave of fear and curiosity that coursed through me. So, Arjun and Abe died? No, their body disappeared, and their souls were eaten. Okay, sure. This guy was absolutely nuts. Bonafide insane. How long have you been at this for, Otis? 300 years, give or take a decade. Okay. I watched with jealousy as Katie, the other Eucharistic minister, grabbed 5 cookies from the snack station. I glanced at my watch, 3:06 p.m. You know, Abe, I mean Otis, it's been great talking to you, but I really need to get going. I have more to confess. Father Henry comes by here on Tuesdays. He'd love to talk about everything, but I need to. Otis grabbed my arm. Hard. I may not be around Tuesday. What? Are you being transferred to... I'm dying, he whispered. And this time, I'm not going to jump to another person. I've stolen too many lives, ruined so much, taken so much. He cracked his knuckles again. The soft pops filled the air. I'm not going to let it take me. It? The shadow. That's what I call it, anyway. The thing that's been chasing me my entire life. Every time it gets close, I jump into someone else's life, and then I'm safe. At least for a little while. I stared at him. Then I decided to persuade him with logic. So why would the shadow choose you, though? What's special about you? Why isn't this happening to anyone else? Because I have a dark past, Sam. Oh boy, here we go. You know, this is really a discussion you should be having with Father Henry. He can absolve you of your sins, and you can move on. I made a pact a long time ago. For a woman, of course. It didn't work out anyway. Now I'm cursed by this shadow. There's only one way out, to die naturally, but I don't know when that will happen. I've tried to accelerate it by smoking, eating terrible foods. Oh no, Otis, don't do that. Take care of yourself. You're saying that because you don't believe me. Well, please, help me, Sam. I'm begging you. I need to escape from this thing. Why me? Because you're the only one who cared enough to listen to me. All these other people, he swept his hand across the room, call me crazy and give up. I've never actually finished the story to anyone. But you must have family or something, right? They don't care either. They put me in this home to begin with. His cold blue eyes turned sad. Please, Sam, I'm begging you. Help me escape this thing once and for all. How? He didn't have a chance to reply. Suddenly, his expression turned. His blue eyes widened, flitting around the room. His mouth quivered. It's here. No. It's here to take me. He stood up and ran. Wait! I yelled and ran out after him. A few of the nurses followed behind me. He ran out onto the busy sidewalk, screaming and moaning, shoving people aside. Otis, I called. Wait up! He turned around, but he didn't look at me. Instead, he looked up towards the sky. Get away from me! He screamed. His legs trembled. His eyes widened. He took a step back and tripped. Thump! He fell onto the sidewalk. I ran over to him, tried to help him up, but he was too heavy. The people on the street were watching now, watching and whispering. I ignored them. Get it away from me! He screamed. It's coming for me! It's coming! The voice died in his throat. The weight disappeared from my arms. Where Otis lay was just a blank expanse of sidewalk. The screams started. Not the screams of fear you hear in movies or the screams of pain that ring out through hospital halls. No, they were the screams of absolute bewilderment, panic, horror. I backed away, my heart pounding in my chest. He was telling the truth. The next day, it was on every news channel, every radio station. A man by the name of Abe Baker disappeared into thin air. Watch the shocking clip and see for yourself, the newscaster cut. Incredibly blurry, pixelated video of Otis running down the sidewalk. In this footage, we see he is running from an unidentified Hispanic man wearing a dark jacket. As soon as this man grabs him, he disappears. I clicked the TV off. Media figures. Most people thought the whole thing was an elaborate hoax or illusion, and maybe it was. My wife and Father Henry thought so. He was pranking you, she said with a laugh. Lighten up a little, huh? Father Henry was dismissive of Otis entirely. Yeah, I've talked to that guy, Abe. He's a bit off his rocker. I try to keep my distance. Wouldn't surprise me if he hired some people to pull a prank like that. I knew the truth. The shadow had gotten him. Some sort of demon or version of Satan. We believe in the existence of possessions, right? Then why not disembodied demons following and preying on souls? It was on Tuesday, almost a week after the event, that I got the phone call. Ring. Just a few minutes after 6 a.m., the phone rang through the darkness. I groaned, poked my head out of the blankets, and grabbed my cell phone. Hello, I said sleepily. Sam, is that you? A gruff voice came over the other line, broken by static. Who's this? Otis, I'm sorry. I couldn't do it. It was coming for me, and I panicked. I jumped to the next body up, so I didn't mean to. Where are you right now? At the church? I think I jumped into a homeless man. I feel awful. Absolutely awful. Please help me. I glanced at the bed. My wife slept peacefully, her chest rising and falling with each breath. I crept out the door. Otis was leaned against the side of the church, hands thrust into his pockets. His breath came out in thin curls of smoke. As soon as he saw me, his eyes lit up. "Thanks for coming, Sam. I knew I could count on you." "This isn't the best part of town," I said, glancing at the dark shadows lining the building. "Let's go inside." I fit the key into the lock and turned. The church was dark. Only a bit of golden light came from the back room, glistening across the organ and the polished wooden pews. Our footsteps echoed through the church, sounding as if an entire army were marching through. We sat at one of the first pews. The crucifix hung several feet above us, stiff and still. "I don't know what to do. I can't escape it. I've been running for so long." He sat down in one of the pews with a sigh. Then he cracked his knuckles. Pop, pop, pop. "I know. We're going to figure this out together. Father Henry comes in at 7. He'll know what to do." "That's too late." He sucked in a deep breath. "The shadow knows where I am. I can feel it right now, lingering outside the church." Otis turned to me. "You can see it, too." "I don't see anything." "You won't see it the way I do, as a shadow, because you didn't make the pact. But you see it in a different way." He turned to me. "Tell me, do you see anything off in here? Anything that just feels different?" I glanced around. The confessional stood against the wall, shrouded in heavy shadows. The pews gleamed in the light, set together in perfect rows. The stained glass windows stretched high above us, mosaics of blue, purple, and red. They depicted the 7 sacraments: baptism, communion, marriage. My eyes caught on the last one for rites. The stained glass of deep blue, gold, red glowed in the gray light of dawn. It depicted a man on a bed, his hands clasped in prayer, staring out into the church with eyes of deep crimson. His eyes used to be closed. "What?" I pointed to the stained glass. "His eyes were closed before, in that window. Now they're open." "That's it," Otis smiled sadly at me. "The shadow is not of this dimension, but its presence still leaves ripples in our reality. They come as oddities, abnormalities, changes, like flip coins landing on their sides." "What do you see when you look at it?" I asked. "A shadow. An immense, rippling shadow hovering right outside the window." Click. The sound reverberated through the empty church. I whipped around. The front doors shook as if a strong wind blew against them. Probably just Father Henry, I said, more trying to convince myself than Otis. I checked my phone. 6:45. Thump, thump, thump. A heavy thudding sound from right outside the door. Crash. The doors flew open. A strong breeze blew through the church. Outside, the letters on the church bulletin board were all scrambled into gibberish. Some weren't even letters at all, just strange symbols. Oddities. "Is that it?" I whispered. Otis turned around. No. He jumped out of the pew, pulling at his hands, its ear. I had no idea what to do, so I grabbed a Bible out of the pew and began to read. "God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son." Not helping! The walls of the church rippled and quaked. The wind gusted through the church. Pamphlets fluttered to the floor. It doesn't matter. Otis took a step towards the door. "I'm going to let it take me. I've ruined too many lives. I won't take any more." For a split second, I saw a dark shadow swooping towards him, eyes burning like wildfire, smoky wings spanning the entire width of the church. And then, pop. Both of them disappeared. I collapsed into a pew, my forehead beaded with sweat. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "So sorry. I tried to help." The whispers became a fervent prayer. "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed by thy..." Thump. I looked up to see Father Henry walking into the church. "Father Henry, I'm so glad you're here." He walked right past me, not even looking in my direction. "Father Henry?" Pop, pop, pop. I looked down. He was cracking his knuckles. "Wait, are you?" He turned around. Blue eyes met mine, cold as ice. "You're a good man, Sam. I'm sorry I had to lie to you." "Otis?" Who I'd jumped to isn't random. It's completely my choice, and a priest is the only vessel immune to the shadow. He gave me a sad smile. "Too bad Father Henry isn't a friendly man. If he was, I wouldn't have used you at all." He turned around and walked out into the breaking dawn. A second later, I heard the rumble of a car start in the silence. So, that was The Disappearance of Otis Jeary by The Dead Canary. I hope you enjoyed that one, but I do have one more for you. It's called Ring Ring, and it is by Lazy Shallot. Interesting username, but let's go for it. So, Ring Ring by Lazy Shallot. Every time someone calls my phone and I don't know who it is, I just let it ring out and check the voicemail. That was a mistake. One morning in the fall, I got a phone call and let it ring out like always. Then I checked the voicemail. It was basically saying that since I was part of a church, my appointment for being baptized was tomorrow, but I don't have a religion, and I wasn't getting baptized. So I showed my dad, because every time something weird happens to me, I tell my dad. He was my savior. My dad said that he must have just gotten the wrong number and shrugged it off. I was okay for a little while before another call came. Since you didn't get baptized, your sins will haunt you. Your appointment is on Thursday. Don't miss it. I didn't know what to do. Do I call back? Do I tell my dad? So that's what I did. I told my dad, and now he was worried. This can't be a coincidence, can it? So he told me to block the number, and he searched up the church's name. While I was blocking the number, he was looking at the phone screen, confused. I asked why, and he told me this. This church has been burned down since 1985. What? How is that possible? Maybe it's just a prank from some stupid teenagers who thought it was funny. So I went to the police station and filed a report. They traced back the call and found out it was coming from the church. The burned down church. They then asked me to go to the appointment and that they would follow me and arrest the perpetrator, so that's what I did. They put a little microphone on the inside flap of my jacket and then sewn a little camera in one of the bottom button holes of my jacket so they could watch it in their car and know exactly when to come in. Ring ring. It was another call. This time from another number. I let it ring out and I checked the voicemail. Your appointment is in 2 hours. Be there or I'll come to your house, crawl through the back window, and kill you in your sleep. Your house is blank. I'm not playing around. At this point, I was sobbing in the middle of the police station. What do I do? He's gonna kill me! All the police officers who were prepping me for the operation ran to me and asked what they said. I told them everything, and now they brought the backup. They told me to relax and that everything will be alright, and that 2 officers will be patrolling my house to see if there's any suspicious behavior creeping around. I felt much better. My dad called the house phone to tell my mother and my brother to grab their things, grab our dog Jelly, and go to the police station. They were confused, but they did it anyway. When they arrived, they set Jelly on the ground and asked my dad what the heck was going on. We told them everything, and now they were scared too. It was time for the operation. The police officers checked my camera and microphone to see if it was working. They also put those things in my ears so that they could talk to me, and so I could do what they told me to do. It was time to go. I left for the church and my appointment. That was in 15 minutes. Always good to be early. I set out in my car as the police officers and my dad took another car. Right before I pulled up, they turned left around the building so it wasn't obvious I was with someone else. It was time to go to my appointment. I got out of my blue car and set off to go inside until ring ring. One of the police officers told me to answer and put it on speaker. Then I heard a voice. I see you answered this time. Well, let me tell you. If you brought anyone with you, they will never see the light of day. Now, do exactly as I say. You go around the back of the church and get ready to get baptized. Don't get any ideas. So I went round back and I saw him, the caller, with a mask, dressed up in a robe, waiting for me. At this point, I froze. Then I heard the police officers running out of the car and into my direction. Then he bolted, straight into a car that I didn't even see. It was covered in leaves, and the license plate was covered, like he's done it before. The police officers finally got to me and started shooting at the vehicle. No such luck. They asked me if I was okay, and I responded with a nod. Then I looked at all of them horrified. What happened? Then I noticed the kiddie pool on the floor, filled with blood. Then I noticed the knife on the floor, next to the body parts of another female, who I almost had the same fate as. The police called down other police officers to search the crime scene and identified the girl. They also took her phone, which had the reminder of an appointment written in. I finally got home and checked the mail. Nothing, but then I got a voicemail. I told you no tricks. Now you have to pay. So that was Ring Ring by Lazy Shallot. I'm not sure about that one. It's a little confusing. I think it's a little bit creepy. So why don't you guys tell me in the comments which of these stories is more creepy? Or why it was more creepy, or something about it, I don't know. You can also leave some suggestions of what stories I should put on my radar. I have a whole notebook filled with stories that I need to read, so we won't be running out of these anytime soon. They get posted more and more every day, so it shouldn't be a problem. But I do appreciate anyone that has watched or listened, whatever you choose to do. So thank you for watching, and I do hope that you guys have a wonderful day. Stay creepy.